The $1 million question right now is it time for Switch 2 or Pro? Whichever one you want to call it. Let's get into it. Alright, so first of all, before we get into the Switch 2 stuff, let's talk about Switch Pro and the rumors that were going on about that. And off the rip, I told everybody, or I didn't tell everybody, but I was telling people, I was like, I don't think a Switch Pro was ever gonna come out. Well, I'll say this, after a few years of it being, rumored and stuff, and we kept hearing rumors and we didn't hear anything about it, I was like, okay, I don't think we're getting a Switch Pro because it's kind of too late at this point, because they're just gonna release it and you're gonna spend. You know what? Here's what I said. I said that the time that the OLED came out, that was the time that the Switch Pro should have came out. Because now, if you release it now, you're gonna pay like what, $400 probably, and then 2 years later you're gonna be paying another like $400 to $500 for the next console. So that wouldn't make sense. Just for like a small upgrade, you know what I'm saying? So definitely would not make any sense. But the time that the OLED came out, that was the perfect timing for them to release a Pro. But we actually just got information today that a Pro was in the making. They were actually planning on it, but the whole pandemic and the chip shortage was the problem, was the reason they didn't end up going through with it, which is crazy. So I was kind of wrong and I was kind of right at the same time. But yeah, from the jump, I just was never really sold on the idea of a Switch Pro. Like, I just didn't see the reason for it, especially like with pricing and the timing. People was complaining about the price of the OLED. So like, or they were complaining about the OLED. I'm pretty sure they would be complaining. They'll find something to complain about with a Switch Pro, honestly. But let's jump into Switch 2. So before we can get into like there being a Switch 2, let's just look back at the timeline for Switch or Nintendo consoles. So, and that's how we can gauge whether or not it's time for a Switch 2. So we got the NES that came out in 1983. Then we're doing home consoles first. You go to the Super NES, that's 1990. So 7 years. Okay, that's a decent amount of time. All right, from the SNES to the 64. SNES came out in 1990. 64 came out in 96. So that's another 6 years. Well, 7 years first, then 6 years. And then from the 64 to the Wii, this is the biggest one. This is 10 years. God dang, that's 10 years. Okay, so that's an anomaly right there. Then from the Wii to the Wii U, you got 6 years. See a trend here? And then from the Wii U to the Switch, 5 years, because they had to jump off that sucker. They had to jump ship real quick. So the Switch came out in 2017. Right now we're in 2022, about to be 23. So we've seen a trend of basically 6 years, 6 to 7 years between each console. The Switch has been out for what, 5 years, a little over 5 years now, or we're about to be 6 years next year. So is it time for Switch 2? Now we're just gonna call it Switch 2, whatever the next gen console is. I think it is. Not right now, but maybe by the end of next year, we should probably be hearing about what the next console is, honestly, because we've been hearing it for so long. There's, the hardware for the Switch is outdated. It's been outdated for a while now, honestly, and that's why everybody was hoping that a Pro would come out. But honestly, I was thinking we should just stick this out, ride out the Switch what we got right now, and then by the time we get to the next gen console, the hardware leap will be so much that it'll be like, an actual leap, instead of us going to a Switch Pro and then going a little bit above that. We're spending too much money at that point. Yeah, I think it is time. And also with the Switch Pro, it would have been a better time to release that alongside Tears of the Kingdom. Really, that would have been a seller right there. But since since Tears of the Kingdom is coming out next year and we ain't hear anything, I'm like, yeah, there's no Switch Pro coming. But yeah, definitely time. But there's only one thing that, like, I agree with the whole Switch 2 thing. I'm on board for it. But there's only one thing or one game that is out right now that is making me believe that the Switch Pro is, or Switch 2 might be a little bit longer than we think, honestly. Actually, this game, it doesn't prolong the Switch 2. It actually tells us that we're probably going to be seeing the Switch 2 next year, the end of next year, because I was going to say Mario Kart 8 and the DLC, the course pass or whatever, the booster course pass. But I just looked at it. We're getting tracks all the way up until the end of 2023, so the end of next year. Their biggest game on this console that they're still supporting is going to be ending in 2023. Smash is already ended. Tears of the Kingdom will already be out. I don't know how long Splatoon is going to be supported. Probably going to be 2 years after it releases, so into 2024. But there's not going to be a Splatoon 4 released anytime soon, so they can still support that. But Mario Kart 8 ends in 2023, so that just gives us a hint that they're probably going to be done supporting the Switch. Not really supporting the Switch, but they're going to be done releasing like big stuff for the Switch, and we're going to be hearing stuff about, I'm predicting this, we're going to be hearing stuff about the next console by the end of next year, mid next year, maybe at the earliest, and the end of next year we should be hearing stuff. But yeah, because this ends in 2023, so it just makes sense. The timing is right. It'll be, so by 2024 the Switch would be 7 years old. So yeah, that just makes sense. And believe it or not, another game that also indicates that the time is almost up for this console is Pokemon. Usually there's the most, for the mainline games, there's usually at the most 2 mainline games on one Nintendo console. That's how it's been in the past. Not saying that's how it's going to be, but yeah, usually there's only 2 generations on one console at the most. So by every generation is like 3 to 4 years. By 2022, this game came out in 2022, so by 25 we should be a year into the next console, and then we'll have another generation of Pokemon. It just makes sense. It all lines up with each other. So yeah, everybody that's been crying about the Switch's hardware not being powerful enough, we just gotta last one more year with it. One more year. And honestly, I mean, I think everything's just going, it's just ending well, because we started with Breath of the Wild from day one, and then the last year of it being, the main console, we're gonna have Tears of the Kingdom to end it off. So I think that's pretty good. But another thing that I'm speculating is, when is the next Mario gonna come out? With that, you gotta count the years for that too, but that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother can of worms that I'm probably gonna open, so you just gotta stick around to hear that. But yeah, this is just a quick discussion about everything that's going on right now. Just like, subscribe, comment when you think the Switch 2 is coming out, if it's even going to be a Switch 2. Do you think it's going to be backwards compatible? Do you think it's even going to have cartridges? Like, come on, is it going to have cartridges? Are they going to go back to disc? Who knows? Just let me know in the comments. But yeah, like and subscribe, and I'm out. Bye.